So students, we're going to talk about our next weldment, which is on our X here, okay? Our first weldment was E6010, E6011. We were welding with a circular motion, or with a stitch, whip and pause motion here, okay? Our next weldment was with a GMAW, gas metal arc welding. Okay? Our next weldment here that we're going to work on now is dual shield, 71A intershield, which is known as GMAW, gas metal arc welding. Okay. Again, we are welding towards the handle. This is a drag motion, very similar to what we do with SMAW or stick. With the GMAW, we did a push motion. But with this, we're going to drag the electrode, and we're going to work and start on the toes and just, again, cover each of the toes. So, setting up for GMAW, setting up for FCAW. We're going to check our machine and make sure that everything is ready to go. We've already changed our wire over. You watched my other video, making sure that our wire is changed over. Coming from the wire feed unit, there is a cable here. There's a cable here that we're going to plug into the positive terminal, because wire in MIG typically runs DTEP, the direct current electrode positive. We're going to go ahead and take our electrode folder, and we're just going to wrap it up nice and neat. And we can go ahead and hang it on this back hook right here. I'm fine with that. For those that have hooks, okay, we can go ahead and pull our MIG gun down and make sure that it's ready to go. And let me back up so you can see me here. You might want to go ahead and pop the gas nozzle off of there. Grab you a pair of MIG pliers, and go ahead and clean that nozzle out real good. You're going to find that FCAW flux core is very nasty. It throws a lot of slag, throws a lot of spatter, and so you'll want to keep a set of MIG wires close by, MIG pliers close by, to keep your nozzle clean. Some of you will like it, some of you won't, may not. But one of the advantages of MIG is that you can use it outside. You don't necessarily need a shielding gas. But I'm going to go ahead and turn my shielding gas on, and we will use our shielding gas when we're in the shop. It just produces a little bit of a nicer weld, a little bit of a cleaner weld, and it just helps produce a little bit cleaner, nicer looking weld. If you have the ability to use a shielding gas when you're using FCAW, use it. Okay. If you're outside and a shielding gas is not available, then don't use it. Okay, but we have it available. Go ahead and use it. It will produce a much nicer, much cleaner weld. This is a very hot weld. We're going to set our machine, our bolts. First of all, we're going to set it for the Lincolns. We're going to set it on inner shield, and we're going to set our bolts at about 22.5. It's about where we want them. The millers, you set them on wire. Okay. And again, this is a drag motion. So we're going to drag towards the handle. We're not going to push away from it. Drag towards the handle. Okay. We also want to make sure that we're keeping the gun as close to perpendicular as possible to the weld. The inner shield wire, again, it has a flux that's inside the wire core. As the wire is burning away, that core, that flux is deposited on the weld. So you're going to see a deposit of a um, flux on the weld once I'm done with the weld itself. Okay, and we'll have to chip it away, much like we do with 7018. So it'll be a pretty heavy flux coat on that weld, not like we see on the 6010, but much like similar to what we see on E7018. All right, so I'm going to lay down a couple of beads, and again, we're looking for stacking those toes, stacking the welds, so that I'm covering up the previous weld, and I'm only seeing about a third of that previous weld. And I'm going to start on the outside here on this corner, and I'm going to come in this way, and then just start working towards me. I'll lay down about 3 beads, maybe 4. We'll see what it looks like. All right, and here we go. Okay. See, it's a very easy, very pretty quick process. Not a lot of dilly-dallying around. Okay. What you do have to be careful of is, because it's such an easy, quick process, uh, novice welders tend to get overconfident, like, oh, I can do this, I can do this. And then you start having issues like uh, porosity, um, um, burn through. Um, okay. Um, the welds are not melding together properly. Okay, this isn't too bad. All right, so I'm going to put on top of this weld right here, and I'm going to follow that toe, and let's see what it'll look like. Okay, here we go. Okay, see how it's starting to build up, so now I'm going to come in and follow right behind it. Okay, and so it's important that you get up over the top so you can see what you're doing here. Because if you don't get up over the top of your weld, all right, and you're trying to look at it from the side, what's going to happen is you're just going to build up one weld on top of the other, and you're gonna come up on the top. You're just gonna build welds up over here on the side instead of coming this way. You're gonna have a real tall weld over here instead of coming over this way. All right. So you've got to be able to get up over the top so you can see what it is that you're doing. I'm getting a little bit of incomplete fusion right there, but that's all right. I'll make it up whenever I come back on my next pass. And I'm going to throw one more down on top of this one right here. And you'll see what that slag looks like whenever you start laying down your bead. And again, the nice thing is it comes off pretty easy. It comes off really, really easy. And not a lot of banging and hammering it. Okay, and I need to lay one more on there to complete this, but that's what it should look like. That's what it should look like as you're filling it up. As you're filling it up. Okay. The other thing with this is because our amps are so high, our volts are so high, this weld gets very, very hot. So about every 3, maybe 4 passes, you want to get that thing to the quench tank and quench it. Cool it down. Okay? Cool it down. Don't let it overheat on you. Don't let it get hot on you. All right? So this will be your weldment. Your next weldment, we'll talk about the 4th and final weldment. I'll post that for next week. Other than that, I'll see you in the booth. I'm out.